To solve the quadratic equation x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0 using the quadratic formula, the first step is to identify the coefficients a, b, c that appear in the quadratic formula. A is the coefficient of the x squared term, and that is going to be 1 since there's no number multiplying an x squared, so there's this implied 1. B is going to be the coefficient of the x term here, and that is turns out to be -3, and C is the constant term, which is just 1. Now aside, I want to mention that basically we can always rewrite subtraction as addition, so we can rewrite the equation x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0 as x squared plus -3x plus 1 equals 0. So that's why it was clear that actually the B is going to be -3. Okay, so that is kind of what goes to my head when I see this subtracting of this 3x. So you have to start feeling comfortable with rewriting subtraction as adding the opposite of the expression or of the number that you're dealing with. Okay, so now that I've figured out what the coefficients are, all there is left to do is to plug those into the formula. The formula says that the solution to this equation, or the solutions to this equation, are going to be equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Be very careful. All of this expression is in the fractions, so that is part of the fractions. So 2a divides not only negative b but also the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so when I plug in, I'm going to have negative of b, but b was -3, plus or minus the square root of b squared is -3 quantity squared minus 4 times 1 times 1, that's going to be just the -4. All of this divided by 2 times 1. So again, this -4 I got by plugging in 1 for A and 1 for C. Okay, so now as I simplify this expression, minus -3 is going to be 3 plus or minus the square root of, and here I have -3 quantity squared, so that becomes a 9 minus the 4 divided all by 2. So overall, I end up with a number that's not very pretty. I end up with 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 divided by 2. Now this plus or minus actually makes a difference in terms of this x is actually equal to two different numbers. We get one of the numbers by choosing the plus sign, so we get 3 plus square root of 5 over 2. And the other solution is going to be 3 minus the square root of 5 over 2. So again, x equaling 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2 can be rewritten as two different numbers. It represents two different numbers. One is 3 plus square root of 5 over 2, and one is 3 minus the square root of 5 over 2. So these are the answers. Sometimes you might want you could be asked to rewrite this as two fractions, so you end up with 3 halves minus the square root of 5 over 2. Now square root of 5 is an irrational number. It cannot be represented by any sort of finite decimal number, except it can only be approximated. So the best thing to do is to leave the answer in this form.